Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm a firm believer if you're going to do something, you do it right, especially when it's an event. When you're planning something, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a wedding, sweet 16, retirement party, corporate event, you don't get a second shot at that. You have to get it right. You have to work with the right type of company, too. A lot of these things, you really can't do them on your own if you want it done right. I found an event planning company in the Arlington Heights area of Illinois that is very different. And we're going to talk with the woman behind it all today. It is Bring the Party Event Planning, and she is Eugenia Clark, and she's with us today. Going to learn a lot about events and doing it right. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on.
In the short time that we've gotten together before we jumped on here, I detected immediately your passion, how this is your calling, and getting it right is the most important thing. Like you're very specific and very detail oriented. Would you say that describes you?
I would say so, yes. I would say so. I'm very passionate about what we do and serving our clients. And it starts with that very first interaction in saying, taking the time to understand their vision and taking the time to really know, like dig into the details. When you say you want blue, do you want dusty blue? Do you want light blue? Do you want dark blue? Are you looking more of the navy blue? It goes all the way into those details, and getting it right the first time is imperative.
Yeah, I mean, you just started doing this last week. No, I'm kidding. Two and a half decades involved here. There's a lot that you've learned along the way, and also about the client, their needs, their wants. Can we dig a little bit deeper into maybe different types of events or things that you offer that is maybe a little more unique than anybody else?
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. And I think a great place to start with that would really be to look at our website. If we have some time today, I'd love to just pop over to it, share my screen, and just kind of walk everyone through the website and where to get information there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that now if you want. It's
Okay,
all set to
perfect.
go. Yeah.
All right, let's get over here.
Yeah, so many details go into event planning, and some of them are, the basics. But when you want to go a little bit deeper and do it right, there's a lot of different nuances involved here.
There is. And first, I want to say that all of the images featured on our website are from events that we had facilitated in the past. So it took us quite some time to put this together, and we do update it with new images every
Sure.
once in a while. I think it's really zoomed in on my screen. Are you guys seeing that? Is
Looks
it
looks good here.
okay? Perfect.
And by the way, if anybody wants to, if you're listening and not watching, the website is bringthepartyes.com, correct?
Correct. Bring
Okay,
the party, E for events, S for services.com.
gotcha.
And the front page is pretty basic, tells us a little bit about our backstory, features our, experience in the industry, and then a few testimonials will go by there. But really, where I think a few people, and this might be a design flaw on my end, don't always see this little hamburger over in the center
Hmm.
or on the upper left-hand corner. And that's really where you get more information. So you could do our about page, which really dives in further into our history and some of the um, and some of the ways that we could impact your event. And again, all of these images are from events that we've facilitated.
Wow.
And then if you go into the services tab, this really gets more into these are the different types of events that we do that we're
I
most.
never knew it was called milestone parties, or if that's what you call it. What a great way to the umbrella on top of what it is. Like we said, retirement, birthday, things like that.
Exactly. And we do a significant amount of these, milestone events, and of all types. And that kind of gets into some of the things that we do. So full service and event planning and coordinating packages, they're always custom according to what are your needs? What do you want? What is your vision? If somebody's budget is, $7,000, we're not going to offer them a package that's 25 grand. but but again, if you're planning $100,000 wedding, you don't want a package of $5,000 either. It's not going to meet your vision. So taking the
Right.
time to really understand what people want and their budget really drives a lot of their decision making throughout the planning process. So that is a key factor in information that we really try to draw out in that first phone call because it drives our communication going forward. And then, some of the different items that we do offer, specialty staff would be considered like a on-site cook, all of our team leads, just different specialty staff, because the way we run an event, there's a hierarchy to it. We have the coordinator that's up on top, and then we have our team leads. So we have like a bartender team lead, we have a serving staff team lead, we have a kitchen team lead. We also have decor experts that kind of lead the different sections of installing and breaking down the decor. So, and they all kind of answer to that coordinator on top and event manager on top so that everyone has the proper information to execute and institute changes as needed throughout the event.
I love the transparency. This is the stuff you usually don't get to see what it is hourly, where it's, what a bartender is going to cost, what the server is going to cost. Where that's for full service event planning. But it truly is custom. Maybe you don't need this, maybe you don't need that, but you do need something over here. You can really get very specific based on this information.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that one of the many things that set us apart from others is that you have that transparency, but then you also have flexibility. And we offer the highest level of flexibility in the industry because we have all of these services under one umbrella. So that's a big part of it. Weddings, we do a lot of, but we limit ourselves to the amount of weddings that we participate in on a monthly basis. So we only do a maximum of 2 weddings a month. We do that because we want our bride and grooms to have free access to us 100% of the time. I have no idea how many times brides will call at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 days before their wedding, in a panic attack, having nothing to do with us, of course, but knowing that they can reach out to us with anything that's happening in their life really gives it, they have that panic attack, but then they call us and we answer the phone and we're immediately able to get them through it, get them past it, and give them that confidence to just continue on into their wedding day, perfectly enjoying every moment of
You're also a therapist.
it.
Really. That's that's also the other service you offer. You didn't know you were offering it, but yeah. There's a lot of things that are going to come up even, and I'm sure, and it's just perfectly normal within the dynamics of families and relationships, friends and everything. I'm sure you've heard and dealt with so many different stories of, what am I going to do? My mother-in-law, the future mother-in-law is saying this, and on and on and on and on. You're a therapist. That's it.
I wouldn't call us a therapist.
Okay.
I would say we're the friend you can count on in that situation.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah, the friend that you can count on because we're not certified
I
in
know.
any
I know.
way.
For
I
sure.
did not major or minor in psychology in any way. But we have a keen one thing that I think makes me very good, one of the assets that I bring to the table is my observation skills.
Mm.
Oftentimes when, speaking with someone, especially a couple that's getting married, or even a lot of times in a corporate event, you ask a question, and regardless of the verbal response to that question, you can also learn a lot by watching
Sure.
and seeing the looks exchanged in between, the way the question is answered, does your voice go up, does your, all these little things. And having those observation skills really helps to facilitate the relationships around the event as well.
I got to imagine that comes in handy when you're working with a couple on their wedding and one wants one thing, one is kind of feeling another thing, and you have to watch the cues and kind of, blend in between there to keep everybody happy. Can be challenging. And it's not you specifically. I would have to imagine in event wedding planning, that comes along with the territory.
It does come along with the territory, but it goes beyond the bride and groom. It goes
Sure.
into the parents and grandparents and best friend, because if we like it or not, as our children grow, we have those little moments, your kid's playing at the park, and your little boy plays at the park, and he goes and makes friends with the little girl, and they're holding hands and walking off, and you're just, as a parent, you start to envision, what is your child's wedding day going to be like? What elements do you want included in there? And that
Mm.
those observation skills and that comfort level to bring someone into your living room, sit with them in their living room, and really allow them to share these thoughts and feelings and dreams that they have been developing over a number of years. It takes a certain comfort level, a certain energy, a positivity, and just a willingness to say, let me hear it. Let's make it to happen together. And that just changes everything. I can't tell you how many, specifically the mother of the groom and the father of the groom, they don't always know how they fit in to the wedding day, because the wedding day is so about the bride and the bride's family. So having those little things that really allow the parents to be involved and feel like they're involved just makes all the difference in the world. I can't tell you how many parents of the groom have just come up to me afterwards and given me a big hug and said, thank you so much, because, you know, I didn't know how this was going to work, but that one picture of my grandmother up, or that one little item that's included in the centerpiece that I absolutely just wanted, all of those little things, they make a difference.
I never considered that. The parents of the groom, how they may depending on the dynamics of all the
Exactly.
relationships, how
Exactly.
they could feel like an outsider, and that's
Hmm.
not the way they want to feel, but uh, sometimes you're the glue that hold it all together.
We're always the glue.
Yeah.
We're always the glue. When you're, doing a large scale event, let's take weddings out of it. Let's say it's a corporate event where you're doing a large scale, you have, 500 people, coming to your event. We're always the glue, because you have that large of an event and that many people in one place. You have multiple vendors. It's not just us. There's multiple vendors. You have entertainment, you have photographers, you have different elements, and every single one of those elements has to um, exude and represent your brand, represent who your company is. Do you want everyone to feel like they're in a formal environment, and act accordingly and feel accordingly? Do you want everyone to be in a casual environment where they're just, casually able to do, whatever you want? Is it, every single thing that goes into that day has to understand your brand going forward and what you want represented that day. And then we're the glue that holds them accountable to do that. And we do that through foresight, because we don't want something to go wrong and then we fix it. We want to head it off at the pass. That observation skills comes in throughout the entire event. If I see another vendor setting up and it's not exactly expressing what I understand as that brand to be, I will let them know during the setup time and say, hey, can we change this around? this color isn't exactly, if we look at it next to their logo, it doesn't really exude what they want. Do you have a different colored tablecloth that you can put on this one table? Whatever it might be, to ensure that that
Sure.
brand and that event is facilitated 100% the way the client wants.
That's a big challenge, I have to imagine. If it's a corporate event and there's different vendors there, you have the main client that is putting on the event, and then the different vendors that are part of it, they also want to feel the equal love, as part of it. So it's a delicate balance. I'm seeing that here.
And I don't think I've ever dived dived so deeply into details like this, even with clients.
Sure.
We have a way of expressing ourselves with client interviews that give them that impression without actually giving all of these little details that I'm sharing with you today. So I'm feeling a little exposed, at the same time, I'm absolutely loving it, because I think this is really kind of what people need to know, right? Like, this is how an event goes on, and this is what goes into it to make sure that they're happy at the end, but not just at the end, throughout the entire event.
Well, that's what makes your company radically different, right down to what I mentioned before, the transparency on your website, the individual prices, yeah, almost a la carte, if you will. If you're planning something out, again, I might need five bartenders, but I might not need, five servers, whatever it might be. And of course, you would work somebody through that, and get a kind of an idea or a baseline of what's going on there. Um,
Well,
Wedding,
I'd love to kind of expand on that a little bit, and
sure,
how
please
the
do.
process works, because what we do is we take the time to fully understand your vision. And then we allocate how many staff in each section would be required to facilitate that vision. So it's not necessarily driven by the client, as far as like, if you want, craft cocktails, and you're
Mm.
serving 200 guests, and those craft cocktails are going to be more time consuming. They're looking for more of that one-on-one service throughout the bar element. So even though it's 100 people, if you have 7 craft cocktails that you're offering, you're going to need 3 bartenders.
Yeah.
But if you're just serving beer and wine at 100 guests, it's 1 bartender. So it starts with understanding their vision.
And I would have no idea of how many bartenders right away. You're like, you rattled it off. Yep, this is how many you're going to need based on the number of craft cocktails, the number of people you have. I guess that's event services math that you do there, but I wouldn't have any idea. And there's a place for it. I was somewhere over the weekend and ordered a drink, and some can make it. It's called a rocket fuel. It's very native to Long Island. And there's some make it, it's all pre-mixed, done, 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 and finished. I watched the bartender in amazement of he was just taking the time meticulously doing this and doing that. I even complimented him on it. Sometimes if you want things done a certain way, you got to plan for it, which you would know. You would know all the background on all of that.
Absolutely. And there is a time and a place for premixes. There
Sure.
is. I'm
Sure.
not I'm not going to say we don't do it.
Of
There is
course.
a time and a place. If they want to offer, 5 craft cocktails and they only have the budget for 2 bartenders, then we'd say, okay, let's look at these. Let's look at these different recipes, and what can we pre-mix to make sure that we're meeting your budgetary commitment,
Of course, and they
budgetary
can be. I've
parameters.
had many times that drink slightly pre-mixed or mostly pre-mixed, and they've been great. It was
Right.
nice watching it done by hand and very
Right.
meticulous with love. It looked like it was being done with love and skill.
And
Um,
that's really the difference between a person's vision or not.
sure,
Does the corporate event, are they hosting VIPs? Are they hosting all of their friends and family? Do they want that highest level of service
sure.
off, or are they just looking to serve somebody a drink because they really want everyone to focus on the speakers?
Yep.
Which one is it? Because that's what we're going to give you. We're not going to tell you you have to have this or you have to have that. We're going to want to understand what is your vision so that we can give it to you.
What else do you want people to know? We have a few minutes left here. What else do you want them to know about Bring the Party?
Oh, geez. Well, I first have to say I've never actually been interviewed before, so I'm a little nervous. I'm loving that you're spending so much time just really highlighting us and sharing us with the rest of the area. We are well known in the greater Chicagoland area. We have our main location is in Lisle, and our offices are in Arlington Heights, but we are actually looking to expand into Long Grove and
Nice.
actually open a small venue there. So that's going to be coming within the next several months.
Wow.
And um,
You
we,
know what I
we
want to ask you? Truly want to,
sure.
2.5 decades, you're still growing, attention to detail. How did this begin for you? How does somebody, see the vision of loving to help people throw events? Where did it start?
Well, I think part of me has always been somehow in the service industry. I started in the restaurant industry when I was very young. By the time I was 24, I was the general manager of a restaurant.
Wow.
And I didn't recognize within myself how those certain skills just came naturally to me. Empathy and passion to serve and a foresight and observation. Those are just the key elements to being able to manage your staff well, understanding the needs of the day and executing properly, and just being able to do that at a very young age.
Mm,
Um, I didn't understand at that time, how rare that was, you know. So as I continued through the restaurant industry, I continued to hone those skills, and I continued to make relationships with like-minded people that are passionate about serving. Everyone's been at a restaurant, right? Where you have that server, you're having a great time, and you have that server that comes up, takes your order, and walks away,
yep.
right? Or you have that server that takes the time to really explain the menu to you, takes the time to really ensure that you know what you're getting, that your expectations are great, refills the water without you asking, brings another glass of wine, offers things without you asking. The difference between passion to serve and serving for a paycheck. We've all experienced that.
It's a game changer when you experience it. And very short here in 15 seconds, I was at a very small restaurant last week, and I felt that vibe. I felt like every server was a very casual place too. They were very vested in it, right down to the specials. Um, I complimented them. I'm like, every little attention to detail. I'm feeling that you're loving what you're doing. And every single person there was. And I've been in the other situations too, where it's like somebody comes over, takes the order, I'll be right back. And that's it, which is fine, if
Which
you're
is
expecting
fine,
that.
right?
But
So
when it goes a little bit above and beyond, it is a game changer, wonderful experience. Eugenia, we're out of time here. Can you tell us if somebody's thinking about in the Arlington Heights area doing a type of event, how they get in touch with you, and also, are you available outside that area for consultation?
yes, we usually will come to meet our clients on their turf. We want them to feel the utmost comfort. And if they'd like to meet us or reach out to us, the best way to do so is through phone call or visit our website to the contact us page, or you can just send your information. Our phone number is 847-282-0095. Again, my name is Eugenia Clark, and we are here to serve you.
Wonderful talking with you, Eugenia. Thank you for taking us behind the curtain, so to speak, of an event planner. Very interesting, and love the detail, love everything you do, and looking forward to getting together again soon and going even deeper.
Yes, we will. Actually, through the next several times we meet, I'll be highlighting specific services and how they can impact each event.
Appreciate it. Looking forward. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.